A little pterosaur sits atop Wilderness Peak, his peaceful nighttime ambience interrupted by the rhythmic drumming of heavy hadrosaur footsteps. The wet season has not long arrived, and in its wake, 2 female Barsboldia have chosen to nest here, atop this usually quiet mountain. They are known to the DPPC as Rhiannon and Epona. Already the nests are active, with a total of 5 babies altogether. These were larger clutches than usual, each boasting 4 eggs. But only 2 of Rhiannon's have hatched. Epona returns from the water, her thirst sated, thus relieving Rhiannon from her diligent watch. The females will take turns in their duties. While Rhiannon rests, Epona takes her turn in watching over the family and the trail. One of Epona's offspring is already proving to be curious. At this point, it is hard to gauge which calf is which, aside from the 2 from Rhiannon's nest, who rarely leave it. Especially this little green one. This young cow has been dubbed Amara, and she is who the DPPC have chosen to officially tag as one of their assets. Most of the other babies have taken after their mothers in appearance. Meanwhile, she more so resembles her father, and her baby colors are currently the most vibrant of the hatchlings. This allows her to be picked out in the herd until her adult patterns start coming in, at which point she may be easier to recognize. Their time at Wilderness Peak will be brief. Once they grow from hatchlings to juveniles in a few weeks, Rhiannon and Epona will move their brood away, onwards to the open roads that they themselves have walked many times before. The pterosaur from earlier, a male Rhamphorhynchus, is back, smelling the leftover eggshells and their contents. His feathers are sodden from a little fishing trip. Luckily, his kind pose no threat to the baby Barsboldia. Still, he's particularly nosy, watching from a safe perch as Epona keeps watch. These scavengers are known for their mischief, and he tries to mess with her by squawking, then dipping behind a rock. She isn't very impressed. The large blue bull at the watering hole is the father of all the calves at the top of the trail. Zeus, with his stunning electric blues and white banding, impressed both cows enough that they allowed him to mate with them. Now, he keeps a vigil. While they do not partake in the child-rearing process, bulls briefly accompany the females to their nesting site in order to deter potential predators. When the cows move along, it is likely he will as well. What he is actually doing here is sleeping. Rather than lay down and sleep like most creatures, Barsboldia are selective about when they lay down and make themselves vulnerable. More often than not, they sleep standing up with their heads lowered toward the ground. Juveniles may attempt to mimic this behavior, but often topple over and spook themselves, or simply fall down and sleep on the ground instead. Barsboldia are light sleepers and wake rather easily. In this case, the squawking and flapping of the wayward tiny pterosaur periodically stirs him from his peace. The calves are now about 2 weeks old, growing stronger with each passing sunrise. And as a result, the adults are growing restless, knowing what awaits them. They take their final turns to fill their bellies with food and water, with Rhiannon the last to go for a drink. Overnight, a tired young adult Utah raptor had snuck under the sleeping bull, perhaps mistaking him for a large rock to shelter beneath, but rushes off as soon as Zeus wakes to the sound of approaching footsteps. Quite the interesting mix-up. Zeus, surprisingly, is still lingering at the peak, perhaps hoping for other cows to appear. There were other cows here when Rhiannon and Epona's babies were born, and they also mated with him. It's very likely that Amara, her full-blooded sister Eva, and their half-sisters and brother now have even more half-siblings out there. There is no telling whether Zeus and Rhiannon, Epona, and their offspring will meet again. Such is the way of the wild. Whilst Rhiannon is away, most of the calves are still asleep, aside from her 2 daughters. What might this be? Oops. In their mother's absence, Ava seeks some reassurance from their adult female warden as Amara follows suit. Their calls to one another gradually wake the other calves, who come to investigate. And Amara has an interesting moment with her half-brother, albeit briefly. These 2, in particular, will have a strange relationship throughout their early years, for now exchanging inquisitive sniffs and curious looks. It's almost like a standoff, from which he backs down first or simply loses interest. But there are more important things to investigate. Rhiannon has returned, and Amara excitedly rushes to greet her mother, who shares a tender moment with her baby. Eva isn't far behind. The dawn is here, and with it, the beginning of a great venture. It is now time for the babies to leave the comfort of their nests, of their home in the peak, and follow their mothers into whatever awaits them now. Epona makes one last check of the nest. No wayward, sleepy babies left behind. The trails, and the entirety of Gondwa, will be their home now, if they survive their very first migration. This journey won't be easy on the little ones. Everything that lies beyond may prove to be dangerous, even deadly. But it's a trial that all Barsboldia go through. So far, the juveniles have only eaten food out of the nests provided by their mothers. But this will be their first time eating on their own. Rhiannon gives her girls a head start, plucking branches laden with berries and dropping them onto the ground. She then gently prevents Epona from approaching the bush, perhaps thinking she was going to eat from it. Currently, the babies can only eat berries, whilst the adults' stomachs are strong enough to digest roots, pine cones, and tougher foods to keep them going. Even as a new mother, she's showing the signs of prioritizing the young over herself. Their brood are curious, itching to investigate the new surroundings. But exploration will have to wait. They're on the move again as soon as everyone is fed. The dense forest of Triad Falls, cut through by paths worn down by many other dinosaurs and peppered with clearings, is new terrain for the little ones. Epona leads the way. So far, all the calves are keeping good pace, but already a couple of them are tiring. Yet the forest never seems to end. Amara seems to be having the most difficulty. But a friendly rumble from Rhiannon bolsters her resolve, encouraging her to keep going. This time, the herd passed by the food without eating. Although, a patch of white button mushrooms does give pause. Rhiannon ushers her curious calf onwards once more, else they fall too far behind. After another day's travel, with some short rest stops along the way, they reach the bank of the fall's estuary. It loosely connects to the sea, but at low tide becomes separated as a small bridge is revealed, cluttered with debris. Driftwood, clams, seaweed, and even a turtle shell, which spurs a little chase into action. Ava has it, and her half-brother would rather have it for himself. The patterns, colors, and personalities of each young Barsboldia are gradually getting bolder as they grow, and they can now be individually identified. This little cow, with the white band on her neck, she is nicknamed Marble, the shyest of the lot. Rosie, the speckled one. This is the little one that nearly overslept. Eva, clearly taking after her mother in appearance, a curious, adventurous soul. Sweetheart, the only male of the group, his more mischievous behavior is starting to show. And of course, Amara. Rhiannon carries a recessive gene from one of her ancestors, which her daughter has inherited, making her stand out quite a bit in comparison. She seems to get annoyed at the noise that Sweetheart just made at her mother, already showing a protective side to her. The promise of water at a nearby pool motivates the mothers and calves alike. But as Epona leads them forward, Amara notices the deep scars on her mother's side. She must have survived some tough battles, but against what is unknown to the young calf. Climbing the incline seems a little too much right now for one of Epona's young. Sweetheart's tired protests catch his half-sister's attention, who tries to give him some encouragement. But he's tuckered out, flopping down onto the rising path until Rhiannon comes to check on him. The others take to enjoying the water, drinking and playing in it with seemingly boundless energy. Besides Amara, who soon follows Sweetheart's example. Marble, ever cautious, scouts their surroundings, a stoic sentry perched atop a rock. But evidently, the allure of the water is simply too strong for her to resist. Sweetheart's late to the party, finally coaxed to his feet by his auntie. Though, he doesn't get very far before he's settled right back down. Everyone's tired. It's already been a longer journey than they were ready for. But they've made it this far. In the shadow of their mother, Amara stands beside her exhausted sister, giving her a small nudge of encouragement. As another dusk sets in, the adults seem to sense it's time for a proper, well-earned rest. Their little ones have done well so far. We can only hope they continue to do so. As time passes, they will grow bigger, stronger, ready to face the world's dangers. But until that time comes, their mothers will keep them safe.